This is the Chassidic Story Project with Barak Hullman, podcasting from Jerusalem, Israel. You'll never know, you'll never know, you'll never know, you'll never know. In the town of Pshischa, there was a great Rebbe, the Rebbe Yerachmiel, who was the son of the Yid HaKadosh, one of the closest Chassidim of the Seer of Lublin. In that town, there was a tailor, a simple tailor, but he was a very good tailor. And one day a nobleman comes into the tailor's store, and he says, "I want to see what you can do, little Jew. I'm going to give you a job here. Show me what you can do." And the tailor, realizing that this is a special opportunity, he really puts his heart and soul into creating this jacket for the nobleman. The nobleman comes back a couple of days later to pick it up, and he's really very impressed with the tailor's work. He says to the tailor, "You know, I have a big family and I have a lot of employees and I need a full-time tailor to work in my mansion. How about I hire you full-time? You come and move in with me." So this simple tailor, who never made very much money, all of a sudden, he's making a ton of money. He's designing all these fancy clothes and things are going really well for him. But the better it went, the further this simple tailor got from the Jewish community. At one point, somebody slipped some non-kosher food into his hand, and he figured, well, I don't want the goyim to not like me, so I better eat it. And he eats it, and he starts drinking non-kosher wine, and he stops eventually davening with a minyan, he stops putting on tefillin, he stops keeping Shabbos, and he slowly disconnected himself from the entire community. But he's making a lot of money, and he's working for the nobleman, and he looks at the other tailors and the other Jews in town, and he says to himself, "Look at how far I've come." One day the nobleman goes on a trip, goes to Paris, and he comes back with a beautiful bolt of special cloth. He comes to the tailor and he says, "Tailor, I have the most exquisite cloth I've ever seen in my life. It was also very expensive, and I want you to make for me a special suit from this cloth. Put your heart and soul into it. Make a masterpiece for me." And so the tailor, he really puts his heart and soul into it. He uses all of his experience and his creativity to create something very special with this beautiful, expensive cloth. He finishes the work and calls the nobleman in and shows him this fine suit. And the nobleman looks at it and he says, "Really, this is a very special work of art." But then the nobleman tried it on. And as soon as he touched it, he felt like something was off. He put it on and he looked himself in the mirror and he said, "Ugh, what is this? This is horrible. You ruined my cloth. You wasted my money. I'm going to kill you, Jew. I can't believe you did this." The tailor is trying to figure out what's going on. In the meantime, the nobleman takes off the suit. He throws it at the Jew, and he kicks the Jew out the door. He says to him, "Never come back here again, or I'll kill you with my own two hands." Let's face it, when you're a Jew, no matter how far you've gone from the community, you always know where you can turn when you need help. And so this simple tailor, who thought so much of himself and now found himself kicked out on the street, he went back to the Rebbe, Yerachmiel, to ask him for some advice. And when he gets to the Rebbe, he says to him, "Rebbe, I don't understand my patron. He's gone crazy. I made this beautiful piece of work for him. Look at it, Rebbe." And he hands it over to the Rebbe. The Rebbe puts the suit in his hands. He lays it on his lap and starts caressing it and feeling the seams. And then he turns to the tailor and he says to him, "Go back home, unstitch everything here, and then restitch it. Bring it back to the nobleman, and I promise you, he'll accept it this time." So the Jew takes the suit back home, and he unstitches everything, and he's slowly stitching all of the pieces back together. And all along, he's thinking, the nobleman's going to stick a sword right through my heart. He's going to kill me. What am I going to do? And oh, how far I've fallen. And all of the problems he has, and he just keeps crying as he's sewing the suit back together. About a day later, he goes back to the nobleman, and he's really frightened. He's scared that this might be the end of his life, but he trusts in the Rebbe Yerachmiel. The nobleman says, "What are you doing here, Jew? I didn't invite you back. You already ruined my suit. What is that? What do you have in your hands there?" And the tailor, he reaches out with the suit and he says, "Please, try it on. I made some adjustments. Maybe you'll see the difference." And the nobleman puts it on, looks at himself in the mirror. He says, "Oh, wow, you really did make a change here. I don't know what you did, but this suit is exquisite and it's amazing." And not only did he invite the Jew to come back and have his old position, he was willing to pay him double for the work. The Jew took the money, took the position as well, but he had to go back to the Rebbe Yerachmiel to ask him, what's going on here? He says to him, Rebbe, I don't understand. The first time I made the suit was exactly the same way as the second time I made the suit. I didn't make any changes. All I did was unstitch it and restitch it again, just like you told me. So why was it that the first time the nobleman was disgusted by the suit, and the second time he was so in love with it, he offered to pay me double of what he originally wanted to pay? The Rebbe Yerachmiel, he looked at this simple Jew, this tailor, who had gone so far from the Jewish community, and he said, Holy tailor, when you were sitting there in the nobleman's mansion, what were you thinking when you were sewing that suit the first time? You were thinking, look at me. Look at how far I've come. Look at how much money I make. Look at who I make clothes for. Not those simple Jews back in town. I make clothes for the nobleman and his family. And so when the nobleman put on the suit, he felt your ego and he was disgusted by it. It revolted him and he wanted to kill you for it. But the second time, when you were stitching it together, thinking, oy vey, how far have I fallen? And what's become of me? And maybe the nobleman will even kill me, God forbid. He said, that time you sewed it together as a humble Jew. And that's what made it so beautiful. Your ego made the suit disgusting, but your tears are what made it so sweet. I love recording these stories. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure to share it with your friends. And also, go to HasidicStory.com, HASIDIC story.com, where you can become part of the inner circle of this project. You'll get access to exclusive stories from Jerusalem that are for patrons only, and also copies of my books. HasidicStory.com.